should let me love you forever, forever. I wanna love you. Will you let me love you forever, forever and a day, 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 day.
Hello, happy Monday. Welcome to TMW Online. I'm Linda, that's Abby. We're covering all things 90 Day Fiance the Other Way, season 7. We are on episode 10. Mind the Gap. I keep saying the mind gap, but mind the gap.
Hey, the mind gap works too.
For this episode specifically. What were your overall thoughts of this episode?
So many important things happen in this episode. It doesn't feel like the past 2 episodes have been super weighty. This one feels kind of weighty as far as like relationship issues. Last episode, I was just like a lot of stuff about parenting, but this one is like relationship, real issues.
Yeah, I thought there were a lot of red flags, and I'm not sure how some of these couples are making it, how they make it, will they make it? I've jumped ahead into real life and I've heard some things, but overall, yeah, relationships
Yeah.
offline, Abby and I were talking about, they're not easy, they're work, right? And so I think it's important not to ignore the real conversations that you need to have in order to have a successful relationship. And that's ongoing. You know what I mean? So let's jump into Jenny and Submit. I have a lot to say about this. A lot.
Oh my gosh. I have a question for you about religion. A question for everybody about religion concerning Jenny and Submit. Go ahead.
What's the question?
I am just so curious because I didn't know a whole lot about the Hindu faith or culture. I'm not sure which is the right word. Until Usha Vance became our vice president's first lady. And the more I learn about it, the more questions I have. And this specific episode brought up one of the questions that's been like popping around in my mind. Sumit says that the cow is important because it gives milk and brings life. And immediately in my head, I thought, women are right there. Women give life. Women have milk. Women survive menopause, puberty. We lose blood every single month and still get up and go to our jobs and take care of our families. Why worship cows when women are right there?
That's a good question. I know in the Hindu faith there are a lot of female deities, and so I don't know if that's part of it, but I don't know enough about it to speak on it. But that is a really good question. And if anyone wants to share their answer in the live chat or in the replay, definitely let us know. Shout out to Ray Della. So this cafe apparently is coming together and they're putting on the final touches. And you guys, when I say, like, I guess what my consideration of final touches is and their consideration of final touches, I just don't think that it's the same. And because that place, I just don't see it. I don't see it being somewhere where it's like not welcoming to me. And there's a lot that, I don't think, like, I'm not going to claim germaphobe, but I just don't like nasty things. So whatever category that falls into, I just don't like it. But their final touches, they're going to do a religious ceremony to bless the place. So like kind of a pre-opening ceremony. And the place is tiny. You guys remember, you saw it. It's very, very small. It's like a 2x2. And Sumit's really trying to step up and be the boss. So his idea is only 2 people at a time, which I just don't know how that's going to work. Like who's cooking, who's doing the coffee, who's serving, and who's also taking the money, right? Like, how does that work? But they named it something very original. Okay. Family Cafe. which it is. It's a family cafe. And they're showing some B-roll stuff, right? And then the B-roll, there's things that I just was appalled by, Abby. So Jenny is grinding the coffee and she drops the lid. Did you remember that part?
Yes.
Y'all, she picks up the lid. She doesn't wash it. She doesn't have gloves on. And then she just sticks it right back on the grinder. So that was my first, like, oh, what's happening here? That was my first issue. Second thing is they're all like cutting bread and chopping up stuff with no gloves on. And then simultaneously, they're also cleaning with no gloves on. And you see Jenny wiping a window and then she goes like this with her nose. I was like, oh, that's strike 2 and 3. Then what took me over the edge, guys, and thank you, Sumit, for doing the right thing, but they were making all this food and then the dad was getting the unfiltered toilet water to wash the potatoes. I'm done. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm just done. And I can't trust anything that you're going to be doing moving forward. I can't do it. Because if you didn't even think that there's any issues there, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
Right. Because when Sumit brought it up, Sadhna was more upset that he was embarrassing her as opposed to what happened. So, like, I don't trust eating at your house after watching this. This was terrible PR for India.
Oh, 100%. And terrible PR for that cafe. Like, you can give all the food away you want, but seeing this just, you guys, I can't do it. Hey, Becca. Oh, 90-day coffee. That would have been hilarious. And that actually would have put them on the map.
That would have been a better idea.
Yeah, 100%. So it's Blessing Day and they are opening the cafe and Jenny is completely lost. And Fizzy says, I'm sorry, not sorry, but Jenny just seems useless. Now,
she said her thing was going to be making the coffee. And then it turns out she never told us she doesn't even know how to make coffee. You don't know what's in an Americano?
But you don't know how to make coffee? Like, is it because you're a coffee drinker? Because I distinctly remember you being a coffee drinker. So, like, was it instant coffee? And if you knew you were opening a cafe, wouldn't you, like, research all the different types of coffees there are and how to make them? And even if you don't do a deep dive, you could go on TikTok, you can go on YouTube and just, like, see how coffee is made. I just don't.
Just a sloth.
I just don't understand it. So you don't cook, you don't clean, you can't make coffee. Like, I'm not understanding. You don't want to do yoga. Like, what are you doing to occupy your day? Like, what is it that you love to do? Just curious. So the blessings come and the pastor comes with holy water that's mixed with cow urine. And that was it. Like, great on the blessings and whatever, cows are holy to them. And like Abby said, it's brings birth and life and food and milk and all the things. But also this is a food place that you're going to be serving people. Like, wouldn't it make sense to not have the food out while you're throwing cow urine everywhere?
The cow urine went directly onto the onions. Now you got salty onions.
So they're blessing, and they're not only blessing that shop, they're blessing all the shops with the holy water and cow urine. And then they gave all that food away, and it wasn't just samples. They just, all the food they made. Sumit was like super excited, like, oh, we did some things, all the food, we served like 100 people. Yeah, you served them because they got free food. It wasn't like, hey, here's a sample, and then if you like it, come purchase more. It was basically like, here, just give away all this food. Mind you, they threw a bunch of food away because that food was bathroom, restroom, toilet water.
Right. Free marketing info for you guys. I'd give a tiny sample with a coupon for like $1 off when they come back. Okay. That would be better than giving away full plates.
Oh my gosh, you guys, it was too much for me. It was too much for me, and it's even too much for me now. Renee says, does anyone believe that this is for real? I do not. I think it's storyline shenanigans. With Jenny's social security income and the lower cost of living, no reason to live with his parents. I think that there's some truth in it, regardless, because Sumit hasn't really ever worked since we've met him. And, living on Jenny's social security alone, it can't be enough.
We've seen her live outside of her means. And if I remember correctly, she demanded having an apartment that was very difficult for her to be able to pay for on her Social Security income. So they were underwater. And I mean, anything could be just for a storyline. But I really don't think she wants to live with Sadhna. I mean, I think that's an act of desperation. Right.
Absolutely.
And like, if I was a sloth like Jenny, I would just be like, okay, the easiest way to try to come up on some money is to let them see the financial situation that we've got into. Let's get on 90 Day Fiance again. But also, like, I don't know, like, I couldn't, like, even though she's like clearly doesn't want to work, like, you can't find one company that's willing to sponsor you, like one company you could advertise on your Instagram and make some money from. I just don't get it. There's so much money to be made in social media now. I don't know how any of the 90 Day Fiance people don't come out with good deals.
Maybe it's in a part of their contract that they can't endorse, right? Because sometimes with reality shows, the contract you sign is very, very strict to the network heavy.
Maybe. But not Emily, her name starts with a K. Asuelu was her partner.
Kalani.
Samoan. Kalani got a deal with Fenty Savage. I thought that's like so perfect for her. So she didn't do any of those ads for like little weight loss pills or anything like some people kind of like do. She waited and got her a big fish.
Yeah, but is she out of contract now because she hasn't been on any new seasons?
That's possible. It may be because of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, that was an aside.
Yeah, so that's all I have to say about Jenny and Sumit, and that's basically all that happened. They opened up a cafe. To me, it wasn't very cleanly, and just at least put some gloves on. Can we at least agree to do that? All right, moving on. Dylan and Patia. I really like these two, even though there's so much going on in this. There's a lot of resentment. There's money issues. As you guys know, we talk about, some of the questions that you should have before you get into a serious relationship, committed relationship. And this on and off 20-year thing, y'all should know each other. Now, one of the things I will say about Patia, though, is that in this episode, for me personally, I don't think that she's owning up to her lack of responsibility. And you can't just blame someone for all the monies that you spent because you've made those conscious decisions. You decided that you were going to move across to Thailand and sell all your stuff and all the things. You decided that you were going to let Dylan take care of you, even though given your history, he hasn't proven that he is a provider for you. Then you came back, and because you're used to a specific lifestyle, you come back to the US, and I guess you decided that you needed XYZ and raised a bunch of debt. However, previously, prior to knowing Dylan, you had accumulated even more debt that you were bringing over. So you brought like $60,000 worth of debt from your first place to Vegas. Then from Vegas, you accumulate more debt, you pay that debt off, but then you go to Thailand, you come back and you accumulate, what she said, 20K, but I don't really believe her. I think it's way more than that, but she was trying to make it seem like it was not as bad as it was before. So I agree with Dylan that there's some spending issues here, and there's her relationship with money is different than how he looks at money and how he spends money, which is what I say to you guys all the time. Are you having that conversation about how do you spend money? How do you save money? What does like 5 years of spending and saving look like to you, to see if that is in line with your partner? It's very important, you guys. Money will kill a relationship. Infidelity will kill a relationship. Those are the two main things. And the third thing is obviously like, if you're at an age where you still want to have children, and we're going to talk about it with the next couple, saying you want children or not wanting children, and by all means, you're allowed to change your mind, but those are conversations that you must have. Did you want to say anything about that before I break down the episode?
Yeah, I think that the problem that Patia and Dylan are having right now is just the language that Dylan is using. Like, I want Patia to accept more responsibility as well, but I think it would be easy for her if he phrased it a different way. Like, maybe say, I understand you took on a lot of this debt when you came back from Thailand, so I want to figure out how we can work together to get your debt down. Instead, it's more like accusatory when he talks about it, but he clearly wants to help her. He wants to get the debt under control, but the way he's expressing it is very judgmental.
Yeah, I can see it coming off as judgmental as well, but I also think too, it's because she's not taking responsibility. So instead of taking responsibility, she's throwing it back at him, which I think is making him defensive, because he does want to help her, but he also wants her to claim some of that responsibility on her own for herself. Because think about, if you're trying to help someone, but they're not seeing the error of their ways, it's harder to help them, because it's like, am I helping you just for you to do it all over again? Or are you actually learning from this lesson? So
yeah,
they go furniture shopping, which again, they don't have to. I mean, they have furniture. They don't have a lot of furniture, but they can get by if this is something that they're trying to, cost cut. Patia likes quality, comfort, durability. Dylan is all about price. So where are they going to meet in the middle when they find furniture, right? He'd rather spend $1,000 on furniture and use the rest of that money to pay down her debts. But she's looking at couches and sofas that are like $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, and not batting an eye on that, which I also thought was telling of her personality, right? Because you also are expecting Dylan to take care of you because you're not working. So it's him you're spending. So they talk about the debt, and she says that she's $20,000 in debt out of 5 credit cards that she's maxed out, and she blames him after Thailand, because you guys know Thailand didn't work out for them, had a big fight. He wasn't providing like he said he was going to provide, which is my question about now, because he seems willing to provide now. So what changed from Thailand to now being in Australia? Age, maybe? Distance, maybe? But yeah, she said all the debt she accumulated is because she had to start from scratch, and she has some resentment towards Dylan because of it, which is another layer, in my opinion. So now we have money first that they don't see eye to eye on, and then we have some ongoing resentment, not only attached to money, but attached to the relationship itself. Right? She wants to be engaged. She wants to get married. She doesn't like how he treated her in the past. She's still holding on to some things, trauma, for a lack of a better word, about their relationship in the earlier days. So she's bringing all of this hurt and resentment forward. And I got to tell you guys have to either you forgive people and move on, or you're going to be facing the same issues because you haven't really forgiven that person. So anytime that you have a disagreement, guess what? All the stuff that you resent them for or you feel hurt about is going to always come up in the relationship.
Yep.
You've either forgiven them or you haven't forgiven them. And if you haven't forgiven them, you have to look at why you haven't forgiven them and deal with those issues.
Mm-hmm.
You want to add anything before I move on to the next thing?
Yeah. I mean, just to piggyback on what you said, the therapist that I love to watch always says that the best predictor of whether or not a couple is going to make it is if they assume the best of each other. So if there's a situation where something can be interpreted two or more different ways, if your partner chooses the assumption that is the best, assumes the best of your personality and character, then that couple has a better chance of making it than another. So when you have resentment that you've built up against your partner, it makes it more difficult to see, oh, he's saying this because he wants to help me pay down the debt. And you become defensive instead of assuming the best. The best assumption of his comments is he wants to keep our costs low so he can help me pay down this debt. But she can't see that right now because she's not in the place of assuming the best of her partner.
That's good. That's good stuff. Yep. Yes, y'all. Yes. My note says she's taking no accountability for her debts, and that's $60,000. That's a huge amount of debt to be moving into a new city with. And he's saying to her, he hasn't proposed to her or given her a ring yet because of her spending issues. And he needs to see change before he commits or marries to her, which is absolutely, it's okay to say that, you guys. I mean, I personally think it's okay to say that. I'm not going to go ahead and get married to you when you can't take responsibility, because if you run amok, these are the two things. She, to me, is coming across in this episode as she spends a lot. She doesn't take accountability for her spending, and she doesn't like budget. She just wants what she wants when she wants it. He, on the other hand, looks like he's a little bit of a penny pincher, but also owns properties, right? Multiple properties, rental income coming in, and a property that they're going to live on. So those are very two different spending habits. You have to have the conversation, and he doesn't want to lock down and say, yeah, I'm going to marry this person, and he haven't had the conversation. Abby, I think that's very responsible of him. I do.
Okay. Yeah, but that's not my issue. My issue is this. If I'm ever in a situation where a man says to me, you keep asking for a ring, what I need you to do is reach through the phone and knock me on my head 3 times, because I clearly have turned into a coconut. In what situation should I be repeatedly asking a man for a ring? None.
It couldn't be me, you guys. It just couldn't be me. Like, I'm not asking you for a ring. We can discuss whether we're going to get married, and then that ring can appear if that's what we both decided. But what I'm not going to do is continue to say, where's my ring? Like, no.
That's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. And ladies, I keep telling you, you guys, you're the prize. You're the prize. If any guy is making you feel like they're the prize, then you're in the wrong relationship.
Exactly. And this is not a thing of being anti-feminist or anything like that. It's just, the thing is, men are only asked to do so little in terms of relationship. In this day and age, women are still working and still doing the majority of the housework, still carrying the emotional labor of the home, still doing all of the organizing of most things. That's just the way, the way society is set up right now. You know, your household can change it, whatever, but that's the way that society is set up right now. If you can't do the bare minimum that's asked of you, which is to make the choice, to make a proposal, no.
Faye says, if you're asking the man for the ring, you're not getting one.
Baby. And if you do get it, it's going to be a shut up ring. It's going to be, here, damn, get out my face. Do you want that? Do you want that kind of ring? You want that kind of marriage? Please.
You want the guy to want to marry you. That's it. That's all. He should want to marry you. He should be so in love with you and can't picture his future without spending it with you. And that's why he is proposing that you guys spend the rest of your lives together. But again, what do I know? I have a question that's so random, you guys, but I'm curious because we're talking about relationships. I'm really curious because, you guys, I'm trying to be better at that. So I have a question for you, Abby, and if you're in the live chat or watching the replay, would you date someone that was significantly younger than you?
Oh, I don't think I could. I never have. And the reason why I don't think I could is because I have nephews who are now in their early 30s. And in my mind, like the idea of dating someone around their age or younger than their age is just ridiculous. I don't know if absent that relationship, because I'm very close to my nephews, absent that relationship, would I feel differently? Don't know. Probably will never know. Because anytime the situation has come up, it's been repulsive to me to find out that I accidentally gave my phone number to someone or chatted with someone who was significantly younger than me. I felt like I wasted good jokes.
Faye saying how much younger? 10 years, 15 years. Let's say around that. It's a good, it's noticeable. I personally have a hard time with it, but I will tell you something that these 20 somethings are, I don't know, they're a new breed, you guys. They are relentless and
They want a sugar mama.
They have like bravado. I can't, and it's amazing to me. Like, I'm always like, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. But I'm curious because a lot of people are like, maybe you can. And I'm curious to know what you guys would do. Renee says, I don't think so. The man I'm dating now is 4 years younger. And at first it bothered me. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with between 4 and 8 years, but when you're getting into 10, 15, 20, it's a lot. Yeah, curious. Thanks for answering. Oh, she's been together. So, see, girl, good stuff, Renee. So yeah, Tia is there's some spending issues. Dylan thinks it might be an addiction, which it may be. There are people that do have spending, gambling, that type of thing. Very toxic relationship with money. It could be, and that's something that maybe they should discuss and explore. Because for me, she does have a lot of excuses about her debt, and my note literally says she only blames him. And I'm like, how so? How do you not take any accountability or blame Patia because he wasn't there when you were at the store or online or wherever you were spending your money? He wasn't there to max out that credit card and then to get a second credit card and max that one out, get a third one and max that one out, and then not think ooh, I got 3 maxed out credit cards. Maybe I should pay some of this down. No, a fourth and a fifth one were involved to bring you up to 20,000, which I probably think is an underestimation of what that looks like for real. And I think that that's probably going to pan itself out. So we will definitely continue to talk about it.
Right.
Moving on to Greta and Matthew. Oof, there's so much trauma in this. And
yeah.
Do we remember, was she in therapy when she was in Oklahoma?
As an adult, she did say she went to therapy, but I don't think she was still in therapy before she left.
There's some therapy that needs to happen here, you guys. There's some therapy, and I'm going to tell you why in a moment. So Greta feels like there's a lot of issues. Money, right? Because she's not going to be working quite yet, even though she is a professional. He's taking care of all the bills. But as we've seen in previous episodes, they don't really see eye to eye when it comes to money and spending, which we just had a full segment about. The future, they, again, have not come, tete-a-tete, eye to eye on what that future is going to look like. And if you haven't started with the money foundation, then yeah, how do you move forward? Because you don't know how and what you're spending your money on. They
Mhm.
haven't come to terms with where they're going to live. Now, I had a little bit of an issue with this because when she first arrived, she didn't feel welcome, and he didn't do anything to welcome her. But then now he's taken the steps because he heard you to find a place to live, but now you don't want to find a house to live in because you don't know if you guys are ready for that. Mm. So not on
Mhm.
the same page, but those are three major issues. Those are three major issues right off the bat. Um, but guess what? They're gonna go for high afternoon English tea. Would you like some tea? I love tea gardens. I love tea parties. I love all of that. So I was kind of fascinated by that because I love it. But she's going to tea with Matthew's grandma, his mom, and his brother's fiance. And what I love about this is Matthew's mom is so welcoming to her and continues to welcome her and says how they just love having them there, or love having her there. And she's most welcome to be there for as long as she needs. And then she made a little joke, whether that's 3 weeks or 3 months. She's like, but not 3 years, because 3 years. Um, but she does think that Greta is Matthew's soulmate. She believes that Matthew 100% loves her so much. And that kind of makes Greta upset and cry because this is a family that's welcoming her in, and her own family, she did not have that experience. And she shared a Christmas experience that she had, right after her mom passed away, and they had made ornaments, and the stepmom said they looked ugly, they couldn't be on the tree. She threw the ornaments away, and it was one of the last memories that she had of her biological mom. And so she just started crying because she hasn't felt that love. And that's when I started talking about therapy and dealing with trauma, right? Because if you haven't dealt with it, everywhere you are, there you go. That trauma is coming with you. Thoughts, Abby?
I agree with you. I also think it's possible that you can have dealt with something, but retelling it still makes you feel it again. So it's possible that she's processed this and still telling it to new people is making her emotional. Also, little plug for me, you guys. I love a good afternoon tea, even though I am nowhere near English anymore. But if you come hang out with me on Instagram or YouTube, you will see that I've been doing a tea around DC, going to all the different places that offer afternoon tea and giving them a little rating. A friend of mine who is Mexican, his mom was asking why I was interested, and he said because they were colonized by the English. I thought that was hilarious because I'm so far removed from that. I just like afternoon teas, but I let him have his story.
That's funny. Greta is also not only having anxiety about family, but she's having anxiety about having a child lately. And she
Hmm.
doesn't quote if it's a phase or if she just doesn't want children. Now, that's huge, right? Because
It is huge.
part of the reason that her and Matthew have come this far and are engaged is because they had the conversations about children and wanting children. They talked about how many children, they even put names out there. So this was a not like a one-time conversation. They have been talking about having children. So that being said, as a woman, obviously you are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to say maybe this is not something that I want, but that absolutely has to be a conversation before you get married. That has to be a
Hmm.
conversation that you have with your partner, and you better be serious about it. And this wishy-washy where you want it today, you don't want it tomorrow, I don't agree with that either. You either want them or you don't want them. And maybe
Yeah.
different phases in your life, like maybe in your 20s you wanted that, or maybe in your 20s you didn't want them, but your 30s you're now thinking, you know what, I do want to have children. That makes sense. But what doesn't make sense to me is last month you wanted kids, this month you don't, but next month you might. That says something different to me as far as maturity and character of an individual.
Right. I agree. I agree. But I first of all, I want to applaud Greta because I think a lot of people go into having children without giving it any critical thought whatsoever. So I do want to applaud her for trying to think through does this really need to be something that is a part of my life? And she's trying to analyze it the best she can from the position of, you don't know what the different outcomes. There's so many variables in choosing to have a child. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. And so the best you can do is visualize it, as best you can. Your partner might change. Your ability to take care of that child might change. Your finances might change. And so that all you can do is just plug in the best variables you can for what your situation is before you make that choice. But so many people don't think about it that I just want to applaud her for trying to think it through and for letting Matthew know before they go any further of what she's thinking. Two things I want to add. One, I think that part of what is changing for her is the way that she was received when she arrived. Not feeling like there was a space that was made for her, that initial treatment, being told you stink instead of being greeted well. I think that might have also made her feel differently about where they were in life and how much he would contribute to and help with raising children, which is a good thing to think about. Think about how much your partner really is going to contribute to raising children, or do they just want to be called father, right? The other thing I think might be happening is that she's just graduated and passed the bar in the United States. So inevitably, she's watching her classmates go on into their jobs. And she might be feeling a little bit stressed, a little bit behind, like, I haven't even started working yet. There's so many things that I have to do and that I need to do. And that might be hindered by the fact that he's already talking about children. And so it might just be like a knee-jerk reaction a little bit to the fact that I'm not even started on my goals yet. And this man's talking about getting a house and kids. I wanted to get a flat in a walkable community and build up to that. And he's talking about, let's put twin beds here.
I agree with all of that except the end. I think that, again, they talked about children in depth. They have names for their children. So because most men are problem solvers, they see something, this is the solution that they want to go with. That's how he's looking at getting a house. If I'm going to get this house, we already said we're going to have children. So yeah, this can be the children's room. So very linear thinking, but everything else, I totally hear what you're saying and agree with. She's having anxiety about it. And Matthew's mom, again, very kind, saying, you know what, I understand because you didn't have a mom role model and your stepmom sounded like she was terrible to you. So
horrible.
So I can see how this could be an issue for you. And it's definitely something that is a big decision that you and Matthew need to talk about. Love the support. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Mom says, yeah, you got to navigate the decision together. And, she agrees that it's just 6 months ago she wanted to have children. And now that's why I said every month you can't be changing your mind. You either want to or you don't. But I agree with Abby. Her situation has changed now that she's permanently there. And, they've been off to a little bit of a rough start. So that's probably all swirling in her mind. But you got to make a decision, friend. You got to make a decision, Greta, sooner than later. At this point, it's only her third day there. Both Matthew and Greta are still feeling unsettled. They're going apple picking. Wasn't sure if they were going apple picking for them or for the hogs. These hogs randomly just popped up. I was like, do they raise the hogs? This is the hog farm. The apples for the hogs, the apples for the people. There was no back context. There were just these random 3 hogs and picking some apples. And mind you, they're picking apples with no baskets, nothing. I don't know. It was very confusing. You guys, because I can get distracted. So I was like, is there something is apples something that they got close to with? What's the significance?
I mean, that would make sense to me because I'm a Georgia girl. You have if you know a pig farmer, they have apple trees on their farm because pigs like apples. So I just assumed it was it's a pig slaughterhouse and they have apple trees nearby and people can come and feed the pigs if they want to because I'm from Georgia. We raise show pigs.
Which is interesting because we have the 2 staunch vegans that, they want their food separated. They met on a vegan dating app, which I didn't even know there was a thing, you guys, a vegan dating app. So yeah, anyways, I was thinking all those things too. Totally side thought, totally random, has nothing to do with anything. I just like things to make sense. And it just seemed like a cutaway scene that had no backstory. And I don't like that, because now I'm thinking like I have to make up the whole backstory just for it to make sense to me. All right. Matthew takes the time, has a special moment, because he knows that they have both been not on the same page since she arrived. And he thanks her for being a part of his life. Thank you for being my person. I only want to be with you. That whole thing, that whole conversation. And Greta receives it, but she doesn't digest it. She hears what he says, but in my opinion, didn't actually digest what he was saying, because she was thinking about what she needed to tell him. And what she needed to tell him is that her anxiety has gone up in the last 3 days about having kids. And now she's unsure if she not only does not want doesn't want kids, but a whole family life, which takes us back to the top of their segment where they were talking about where to live, right? She wants maybe more city life. She maybe not want family life. She doesn't want to live in the suburbs and do that whole thing. She's rethinking this whole thing. And it goes to what Abby was saying about her talking, the type of law advocate she wants to be. She's not sure if that is in tune and in line with what she wants to do with her career. So I think Abby nailed it when she said she sees her friends moving forward in their careers, advancing, and becoming an attorney is not easy, you guys. It's years and years and years of studying and processing and taking exams and all the things, and then you still have to go and find a job and so, and then you have to pay off all that debt. So it's a lot, right? And to know that you worked this hard to come this far, just to not be able to work, and then now I'm thinking that she feels bombarded by, oh, could it possibly be I pop out these babies and I never have an opportunity to go ahead and see what my career looks like, right? Have the opportunity to work and have that be part of my legacy as well. I think that's where society is coming from, right? Because only is she a professional that's not able to work in her profession yet, but she's also going to be financially tied to this person, married to this person, having this person's babies. And maybe if she's thinking about all these things, she's like, when do I get the opportunity to study for the bar over there in England so that she can actually be a practicing attorney in her trade of choice, in her specialty. So it could be all of that. So I applaud her for thinking of those things and for telling him, but listen, don't get married if you're having all of these doubts and you two are not on the same page. Maybe your timeline is not the same. Maybe you just stay engaged for a few years until you get on your feet and you get an opportunity to test what your career looks like, right? So at least you can be, hey, this is what it feels like. This is how it is, and this is what I'm going to do, and I actually love it. And she's only 27 years old. Right. She has lots of time to have babies. Maybe take the next 3 years and get your career under your feet and figure it out from there.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the reasons why an international relationship becomes difficult, because on what basis does she get to stay in England? Let's say they decide they're going to have a long engagement. Well, without the proper immigration documents to be able to stay there, live there, which she would get if she got married, on what basis can she stay long term and now go through the process to become a solicitor or a barrister, whichever one she's aiming for, without that marriage underneath her? This problem of borders causes people to make choices that they otherwise sometimes wouldn't make.
Absolutely. Matthew's shocked by what Greta tells him, and he says, and this is where all my red flags came up. He said, okay, well, I still want to be with you. I still want to marry you. And even if you have no time to be a mom, I'll be 200% the father. I'm going to tell you something right now, you guys. That is 100% toxic behavior. That statement is toxic not only to your unborn children who should have the opportunity to have a mom who's 100% present and then therefore doesn't resent them in the end, or just like her stepmom treated her horribly so that she has all these childhood scars. Not only is it wrong to them, it's wrong to Greta, because that sounds like you just want her to be a baby making machine. Pop out some babies. I don't need you. I got this. Am I the only one that took it that way? Because I was like, what are you talking about? No time to be a mom. You'll be 200% father. Then you're going to resent her when you see her out at work or late from work or in a meeting and you got all the babies running around, plus you have your job, but you said right here in this moment that you would do all 200% of the fathering. Blows my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I heard it the way that you heard it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought was, this is completely dismissive to the pregnancy process. It's like the people who advocate for adoption over abortion with no respect for the actual pregnancy process that the person is not wanting to go through, right? So that's the way that I heard it first. Then I said, wait a minute. Assume the best. Assume the best of Matthew. And maybe what he really wanted to say is, I will do whatever it takes to ensure that you have the career that you want. Having children, whatever I can do to keep having children from being a hindrance to your career, I will do that. So let's assume the best of Matthew. And maybe that's what he intended, not to reduce her to a baby maker, but to say, preparing the lunches, cleaning the tub, doing the bath time, whatever it is that you think that you don't have time for, I will give my time for that. Now, do I believe him? I don't believe men, so no. But maybe that's what he meant to say.
So this, Abby, is the same Matthew who didn't even clean out a couple of drawers for her. This is the same Matthew that when she wanted to have self-care and spas once a week, complained about the money and that it was his money and that she was not taking into account all the sacrifices that he's made. This is the same Matthew that lives at home with his amazing, beautiful, wonderful, welcoming family, but is not so welcoming. This is the same Matthew that there's all meat in the freezer, and the mom has made or bought a whole beautiful vegan cake, but he can't even move the meat away. That same Matthew is gonna support her.
Hey, listen. I didn't say do it. Greta, I didn't say do it. I just said maybe what the man meant to say was this. But should you move forward in having children with someone just because someone promised you something? Absolutely not, because there are very few people who can say that this person showed me. Well, actually, that's not true. I'll take that back. Women on TikTok every day admit their husbands are horrible. But a lot of times, as a situation where you really didn't know that your husband was going to turn out the way that he did at the time that you had a child. That's how it was for me. Nobody could predict. Nobody, not his parents, not our mutual friends. Nobody predicted the 360 that happened. But for a lot of people I'm seeing on TikTok, they actually had warning signs. They just ignored and plowed right through. So
I say this. People can tell you whatever they think you want to hear. And I'm not saying in this specific situation, I'm not talking about this episode. I'm just talking about people in general. And men specifically. Men can tell you what they think you want to hear. But their actions are going to speak way louder than their words each and every time. And their actions will predict their future actions. You just have to pay attention. So if someone is showing you that, hey, I didn't make time for you here, I didn't make time for you again, and that's repetitive, that's who they are. Even if they say, oh no, you know what, that was just a simple, I just forgot, they're going to continue to forget each and every time. So unless they're actively changing their behavior, don't just trust their words. See what their behavior and actions are doing. That's just from experience in life.
Yes.
And
Do that
especially,
in the abstract. Divorce it from what you want. Make that analysis in the abstract. What they've done, not what they said. Oh, I really wanted to bring you flowers. Doesn't count. What they've done, not what they said.
and what they continue to do. Right? Once in a while, we're all human. We're not going to be perfect, but what they continue to do, their actions will continually show you who and what they're about. Not their words, their actions.
Mm-hmm.
Last in this episode, I just don't understand this guy, but Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Luke by himself. Luke meets his friend Brian. And, Brian is Madeline's nemesis in his mind. Blames her for the failure of his marriage, blames her for starting a rumor that he cheated on his wife, blames her, thinks she is the worst of the worst of the worst of individuals. But that's Luke's friend, right? So Luke goes to meet with them, tells him that the wedding's been called off, but he hasn't really given up. He's still there. He still thinks he's going to win Madeline back somehow, some way. Brian says his relationship with Madeline is unhealthy and toxic. And here's where I was like, oh, this is the first, I don't understand Luke. So the first thing he says, Abby, is that, well, yeah, maybe it's a trauma bond. And
Luke's just saying words.
Brian goes on to say that he feels that Madeline, their entire relationship, has manipulated Luke and controlled him, and wants to know what it is about her that you like. And again, Luke puzzled me because he couldn't say one thing that he liked about Madeline specifically. What he did like is the fact that he could say that he lives in another country and he's working less but making more, that he's an entrepreneur. Those are the things that he liked. And I'm going to add to that, in my own opinion, in my own words, that he liked the fact that he could come, be like a passport bro, find himself a trophy wife, and be able to do the bare minimum, because the bare minimum still allows him to get by further and longer than it would if he stayed in America. Does that make sense to you guys? So if you have $100 in America, you only have $100. But if you're in like a third world nation and you have $100 US, that $100 stretches further than it would in America and longer. So then it makes him feel like, I'm doing a little something. I got a little something. But let's not forget that Luke has tended to make poor business decisions, and he's gotten himself into his own financial debt and situations. But because he wants to come up as a baller so that he can get the trophy wife that he wants, he's also misrepresented himself. He's misrepresented himself as a provider. So when he goes on to say that his financial issues are because of Madeline, Brian and him agree that that's the case. And then Luke says, yeah, I've bought her multiple cars. I bought that studio for her. I pay her rent every month. I buy her food. I pay for everything. Same thing that I said about Patia is what I'm going to say about Luke. No one forced you to do those things. If you didn't have the means, then why are you putting yourself in debt in order to present as something that you're not? No one said, hey, let me rack up all this credit card debt because I want to impress this woman. Not only do you want to impress this woman, you want her to stay with you. You came into it for a specific reason. I gave Madeline, just a strong talk a few episodes ago because she wants what she wants. And she has no shame about it. But if she's going to come in and be like, hey, yeah, I'm in it for the money. If I'm a gold digger, or I'm not a gold digger, I've lived a life where I've had to scratch by all the time, and I refuse to live like that anymore. But she came in and presented herself like that because he also came in as, I want a trophy, beautiful, Latina wife that I can show off everywhere. So they're on equal grounds. You both knew what you were bringing to the table. So what you're not about to do, Luke, is blame her for your financial irresponsibility.
Exactly.
To do.
Exactly. It's always funny to me when passport bros go to another country flashing money because American women are too difficult or materialistic. And like, then they get upset because they didn't get chose for their personality when all you did was go down there and flash money. And listen, this guy, Brian, full disclosure, I did talk to Madeline about this, and I have a little bit of extra information. I don't like this guy, Brian. Okay. I don't like his name. I don't like the things that he said. I don't like his face. I don't like his foot stance. I don't like anything about him. Right. But when he was asking Luke, just tell me why you like her, and Luke couldn't answer the question, he had a point. And that's actually something that you guys can add to your list of things that you look out for in a man when you're in a relationship, or even if you're in a relationship with a same-sex person. If you ask them, what do you like about me? And the first thing that they say is something self-serving, they make me look good. I enjoy talking to you. You understand me. Hello? The first thing they say is not something about your own personality that they like about you, but it's something self-serving. Maybe it's not a good relationship.
It's a lot to definitely pay attention to, you guys. Relationships are difficult and they're multi-layered, and I get it. I get wanting to settle for whatever it is, but just make sure you're happy. Make sure you're happy, and make sure that person, whoever that person is treating you how you want to be treated. Because I got to tell you, there are a lot of people that I personally even know that are in relationships just because it's been so long. They can't imagine making any type of change, but they're miserable.
Sunken cost fallacy. People have this idea that, because we've been together for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, that I might as well stay with them. I don't want to start over because they've already put so much time into this. They're just like staying and they're miserable. But, long as they can hashtag on a Instagram, I guess they are all right.
Hashtag matching PJs.
Right. We're coming up upon Christmas season where the couples that that truly hate each other are going to be talking about how happy they are in their matching PJs.
Part that is crazy to me, the craziest thing, you guys, is I will see specific people who, okay, let me word this so that it's very generic. It's fascinating to me when it only happens for me, it happens, I notice it Christmas and like Mother's Day. All of a sudden, this person who's been maybe doing the most in your DMs or commenting on your posts or whatever, doing the most, right? You go and see that all of a sudden they're matching pajamas with someone and have a whole family. And then you're like, oh, let me go. Did I know that this person was? And you look, and that's the only thing that you see. And it might not even be in their timeline. It might just be like in a story somewhere. It's always fascinating to me. Fascinating.
Super fascinating. Yeah, I had a long, like 2-hour long conversation with an ex from college because a mutual friend passed away. And like we went over all the things, like everything that's happened since college up until now. Get off, and because Instagram is the way Instagram is, it shows me his girlfriend. They're married. In the 2-hour conversation, he never once mentioned that he had married I already knew that he had the girlfriend, but he never mentioned that they got married. And I even asked him, like, when we talked a long time ago, I asked him, what do her kids call you? Like, do they have a name for you? And he was like, no, they just call me, like, insert first name. You're their stepdad now. And you didn't, oh yeah, by the way, we did get married. So I'm their actual, like, I'm their, yeah.
Men, that's all I'm gonna say. Like, listen, y'all, pay attention. Actions, their actions speak louder than their words. Actions. That's it for today, you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Head over to Abby's other social media to see all the fun things. You can travel vicariously through her and new stuff. And also, check out my stuff. I'm doing the most right now, so I'm having a good time. Yeah.
You guys, we got some really good travel coming up on my YouTube page, so please hang out with me there. January, February, and March, we are hitting Colombia, India, and Norway. So come over to my YouTube, hit like, and subscribe.
Awesome. All right, you guys, we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.